My name is Andrew King, and I'm currently an assistant principal at Dr. Olga Mohan High School in downtown Los Angeles. Previously, I was an assistant principal at Pasadena High School, and previously before that, I was a AP U.S. History teacher at Puente High School, as well as the Director of Student Activities, where I won the award back in 2014. So I won the award last year, so it's still pretty new for me. I've been teaching for 8 years, and I've been an assistant principal for 2 years, so a total of 10 years in education so far. And I've loved every minute of it, though I desperately miss teaching. So I found that when I have students in the classroom, I really want to make sure that they understand what it means and what we're trying to do for them. And so I thought it was really important to be transparent about the lessons that we gave to our kids. And so when I had a student that maybe didn't really care as much about what was happening, I really tried to be clear about why I was doing what I was doing for them. So I would tell them a lot of the times that, one, everything that I'm doing for them, I'm doing because I genuinely believe that they deserve a good education. And that I would always give them a charge that the reason why you're learning, the reason that you're having an education, the reason why I'm doing all the things that I'm doing is that because you are important and you matter. And that you need to learn because there's so many things beyond you that you need to do in your life. That currently our students are on the front lines of combating misunderstanding, misconceptions, and ignorance. And I want the kids to understand that when they're learning, they're doing so much more than just learning for themselves, but they're really out there to change society, to change those misconceptions. And so I think that when I tell the kids that what I'm doing for them is for them, but also for all of society, the kids really tend to take more on of that education. They really want to internalize what they're learning so they can do something with it. I think the other important part is that when I tell them all the hours that I put into building their lessons, I think the kids really realize that we're doing it because we feel that it's so important for them, that every lesson, every hour that we give is so that these kids get the best education possible. That when they don't do well or when they don't study, I personally get frustrated because I want them to have the best education. And so when the kids see that transparency, I think they really understand that I'm not just working behind the scenes and building lessons because I want to torture them with tests, but I see that there is really truly an end goal that benefits them but also benefits society, and that it's always for them, that they deserve the best, and that I want to give that to them, but there's also a part that they have to play. And I think that the kids really resonate with that message that everything that we're doing is for them. When I have a lesson that doesn't work, I really want to reflect pretty immediately because I want to go back to the data and say, okay, so what didn't work? What percentage of my kids did not get that content? And I want to be able to rehash and change what I'm doing for the next day because I have a small window to be able to affect those kids to be successful in the next lesson. So what I found to be successful now is using the data to start differentiating my lessons. And so what I would do is, based on what I've learned from the previous assessment, I would normally have a smaller learning group to kind of start backfilling the gaps that I've identified from that previous lesson, and then make sure that while the rest of my class might be able to move forward because they were successful in the previous assessment, that one group that I now know is performing below the objective, I want to make sure that I differentiate the lessons so that now we're either, let's say, reteaching how to analyze a document, or we are reteaching the content so that they better understand the French Revolution. And for the kids that did really well, I want to make sure I have some type of extended activity so that once they're done, they're not just bored. And so I found that once you start differentiating the lessons to meet the needs of your struggling learners, then I found that it's almost inherent that you're also going to differentiate for your higher level learners too, and that way you're meeting the needs of all your learners all the time. It's hard, it's really time consuming, but I find that when I get the feedback from my students, then they found that they were much more able to access the content and they feel a lot more successful and confident. I think the important part when trying to get people to teach is first to ask them, are they going to love the profession? Because I know a lot of people say they like teaching, and we have a lot of teachers currently that also like teaching, but they're not really in love with the profession. And I fully support the fact that people want to go into teaching because they think it's fun. but sometimes it's not fun. It is draining, it's time consuming, and I really genuinely believe that you have to love this profession because these kids deserve every ounce that we give them. They deserve every tear, every blood, every waking hour, because sometimes, at least when I was teaching, they only get US history truly once, and I really wanted them to really get it. And so you have to spend every waking hour making sure that you're developing the best lesson possible, because you want to make sure that when we're working in some of these underserved communities, that they're getting the same education or better than some of the communities with the best resources, because our kids deserve it. And so when people ask me, do I want to go into teaching? I ask them, like, do you love what you're going to do? Do you have a true passion for it? And are you willing to take in all the great things, but also the bad things that go into, or also all the difficult things that go into teaching? Because it is grueling, but it's also one of the most rewarding professions you can go into. And you have to take the good with the bad. So if you really want to go into education, I think you have to look at the entire gamut of it, which is it's the best job you can have, but it is also the most strenuous. But then you love every moment of it because you know you're doing it for the best, for your kids.